Are you looking for fast-paced thrillers set in the Pacific Northwest that feature malice and the pursuit and cost of justice? You should be, because with Laurie Buchanan and the Sean McPherson series, you get everything you'd want. Suspense, beauty, danger, great food, and everything in between. Welcome to Blackbird Writers Presents Author Interviews, and welcome to you, Laurie.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I'm just going to jump right into our questions, and this may seem like a silly thing, but I'm dying to know. So the first book is Indelible. The second is Iconoclast, and this one is Impervious. And why did the letter I sort of cry out to you for this series?
And even more than the letter I, they're all four-syllable words. So we have indelible, iconoclast, impervious, iniquity, illusionist, and I'm beginning to write innocuous. So
that was my next question. It's like, are you going to run out? Because I don't want you to.
Well, I'm under an 8-book contract right now, and hopefully that'll grow. It started with a 3-book, then 5-book, then 7-book, now 8-book contract. So hopefully it'll be something like Chief Inspector Gamache. She's on book 17 right now, Louise Penny. I hope that it turns into something like that ongoing. So the first book, Indelible, when I was thinking of the title, I was down in San Diego with my sister Julie, and we were saying indelible, indelible. It's such a delicious word, indelible. And she said, you should have something that is unique to you, like Susan Grafton. Remember, she was the Alphabet Murders, and it's her signature. She passed away, I think, when she was writing Z. And she said, it was my sister, you should have something like that. And I said, well, indelible, indelible. And I knew that I was going to be writing the next one already. And I didn't know the title. And so as I, was typing it and the word iconoclast came up, I'm like, oh, iconoclast. And so that's when it came. And it was 2 words that happened to be I letters with 4 syllables, and then impervious, and so on. So I used the word only once in a book, and that's how it came about. So you can go right in and look for it. I have it usually near the beginning, and that I'm off and running.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, and and how exciting to be on eight books at this point. And yes, please just keep going, because these are wonderful. So without giving too much away, there is a corrupt cop in the Bellingham, Washington police force. And I'm just wondering how you weave that person into the police force and why they haven't been caught yet.
So Giorgio the Bull Gambino is the head of a crime family that is, he's got 3 jewels in his crown. He has New Orleans, he has San Francisco, and now he's got the greater Seattle area. And of course, godfathers, the head of crime families, have people placed everywhere. They have them in government, they have them in schools, they have them in religion, they have them everywhere, including law enforcement. And I didn't want Giorgio the Bull Gambino to be any different than a real life. And I have read and read and read and read and the hierarchy and how they get them in, and that is a thing that happens. So that's how I won't say the person's name. Well, I can say Tony. Tony is woven into the police station.
Yeah, it is an awesome character, so deliciously evil. And kind of circling back on that, is the Bull Gambino based on any real criminal, or just a whole lot of research on all the criminals?
He's a combination of both, and I'll do a spoiler alert. I didn't want him to be a part of the series completely. The book that I'm finishing right now is book number 5, and I get to kill him, and how he dies and who kills him is a huge surprise. I'll tell you right now, it's not Sean McPherson, it's not Mick, it's not Joe, it's not Rafferty. It is an unsuspecting, wonderful character that we all love, But Giorgio the Bull Gambino does meet his maker in book 5, and then we'll go off and running from there.
That is good to know. Because yeah, it's like you just like somebody do something.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so it's kind of switching gears a little. We've got the crime element, but now more of the character relationship element in these books is just charming and delightful and so emotional and heartfelt. And several of the characters have like prescient dreams where they will feel somebody is in danger. And I'm just wondering what you base this trait on.
So Cynthia Winters is, I think, who you're referring to, and she will be a character that comes back periodically. She'll be in the next one that I'm writing, which is book 6. Right now, I have her in an ashram in India. That's why she's not able to help solve crimes in a couple of the books, because the readers will say, "Well, just get Cynthia.
Yeah.
Well, just
she'll help."
exactly." And she is off the grid. She's at a silent month-long retreat in India, and you can't get a hold of her. But that's who you're referring to. And while I am certainly not psychic in any way, I'm extraordinarily intuitive. And so I am, her appearance is based on my sister. I'm a combination of Libby and Cynthia. And that's where that comes in. I'm a retired holistic health practitioner. My PhD is in energy medicine. It's actually holistic health with an emphasis in energy medicine. And so that comes into play there.
And that's always kind of what I've pictured, actually.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, I bet this is not Laurie. Well, also in this one, Libby has a dream that is worrisome, and Maeve as well. So, yeah, we have a lot of intuitive characters, and I think it shows the strength and the bonds between the characters and their family. And it's just lovely. I just really enjoy it. All right, so speaking of family members, we have to go to the 4-footed one and Hemingway. Hemingway is an Irish wolfhound, and he is the best. And do you have an Irish wolfhound? What is your experience?
Yes, so Willa we had for almost 14 years, and as a holistic health practitioner, she lived that long. Typically, Irish wolfhounds do not live that long.
No big dogs like that?
So large. But because energy medicine and so forth, Willa did live almost 14. She's no longer with us, but Hemingway will always be based on her. She was an amazing dog. Gentle, sweet, loving, kind, and thoughtful. But if anybody had ever tried anything, they would just be smithereens. So now we have a huge, he's 71 pounds. So for a standard poodle, that's very big. And we have Ivy, who is the love interest of Rafferty. And she has a guide dog. Ivy is blind. And I'm basing Maggie on Hemingway, on Henry, our giant standard poodle.
Well, I was kind of wondering about that. I've never heard of a guide dog that was a poodle. Is that something that
they do? I did my research. They actually are. They make extraordinary guide dogs. They're not the typical. They're not the typical. But yes, they do that. And they're great service dogs, and they are sweet, loving, kind, and thoughtful until they're not, until somebody gives them a reason not to be.
Yeah, well, that's what I've always known about poodles, is they're very they bond very well with their owners and will protect them.
Yes. And Hemingway and Maggie, whose full name is Sister Margaret Mary McCracken, they love each other. They're just best friends. Exactly. She's got like a nun. Yes, her appearance is very, very Sister Margaret Mary McCracken.
Fantastic name. Just love it. All right. So we mentioned before that these are in Bellingham, Washington, and you've added some embellishments. and that is a real place. How about Pines and Quills, which is the
Oh,
writer's retreat, which is where I just want to spend all of my time, despite the things that happen there.
so that is based on my writing residency at Hedgebrook. Hedgebrook is a writer's retreat for women. It's on Whidbey Island, just off the coast of Seattle, Washington. You have to take a ferry to get there. And you are, when you're accepted for a writing residency, you are in your own little cabin. That cabin is surrounded by thick woods. You meet in the evening at the farm table, and you talk about your day. And so it's very much based on a real experience. And I actually that's where Sean McPherson was born. When I came out one day and I saw across the way a gentleman was pushing a wheelbarrow and he had a significant limp. And I never actually spoke with him, but I saw him. He was very, very handsome, extraordinarily handsome. And he was of the age where I thought, oh, I was there writing a nonfiction book, one of my first books, Note to Self. And I saw him and I thought, oh, I wonder if something happened in Afghanistan or something like that. I tucked that seed away. And then years later, that grew into Sean McPherson.
Oh, that's awesome. And also awesome to know that that is a real place, because that's on a bucket list now. All right. So you mentioned getting around the big barn table. So food plays a very big role in the books, kind of like the bringing all the writers together and creating that family. And the character,
Neil.
is it pronounced Neil? Because
It's the Scottish.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Neil is an amazing cook and does the wine pairings and has his own herb garden and everything. Do you cook? How do you get your inspiration for those meals and dishes?
Can I cook? Yes. Do I get enjoyment from it? No. This Neil is based on my husband, Len. Len is an extraordinary cook, and he's a great for pairing wines as well. So if I need a breakfast, a lunch, a dinner, a picnic, I say, Len, I need this. This is the time of year. What would be growing in the garden? This is written in May. This one's October. This is, the sun comes up at this time. It goes down here. We're having a picnic out on the bluff. Whatever it might be, he goes off and running and figures it out and then gives it back to me. And I just type it in. Total cheat.
Oh, that's not a cheat at all. That's research. And the best kind, because you get food out of it. So so yeah, we'll definitely need to have your husband over at some point. So let's see, sorry, I've lost track of where I am with my questions. Okay, I know that you're very disciplined. You have this happens here and this happens here, and it's just very inspiring. So I just kind of like to hear for our fans who are also writers, what is a day in a life of Laurie Buchanan, writer, like?
So Laurie Buchanan, writer, goes strictly by a checklist. I have a checklist that is everything. And I get up at about 4 a.m. and I get certain things done first. I want my social media out of the way. And for me, so some people say, oh, I don't want to do social media. That's great. For me, I find it to be part of, it's necessary for me for visibility, for brand recognition, and so forth. So I want that. I want to do it. I want to do it well, but then I want to set it aside and then get down to writing. I call that BIC, butt in chair. That's my writing method, butt in chair. So I literally go through this, and this is one sheet of paper lasts me 3 days. So I do different colors. So black, red, green, blue, purple, whatever. So I don't get mixed up. And I go like clockwork, absolute clockwork. And if I don't write it down, it doesn't exist. It has to be something that I can see, and I just move from there. I am the person that dots my I's and crosses my T's, but I'm not a planner. I'm a pantster when it comes to writing. And our friend Tracy just wrote about that, and you know, the difference between planning and panstering. And I'm kind of a planster. I'm kind of a hybrid, but for me, if I have this charts and graphs and all those applications that writers get, and I would feel locked in. I would feel so bound that I wouldn't be able to work. I want to think about it the night before, dream about it, get up, write it, and so on and so forth. So I do. I live by a sheet.
So you live by a sheet, but you don't plot out your entire books. And that is amazing because you are inside the heads of several different characters that are in different locations. And that is hard to do. So that's very impressive. All right, so I would like to know what's next for Sean McPherson and also for you. So this is book 3. What's
Okay, so Iniquity is book 4. I've already got the cover for it from the publisher, Spark Press. And the main crux of it takes place on Mount Baker in Washington State. It's visible from Pines and Quill, or the real Bellingham, the historic Fairhaven district in Bellingham. You can see it from there. That is that. And then Illusionist comes after that, which I'm about to write the end on. And then Innocuous is next. Innocuous, the characters in that book are already screaming in my head. And I have written down some just scribble notes. I know how I'm going to use the word innocuous. The one time I know exactly how I'm going to use it. I'm not sure where I'm going to use it yet, near the beginning. Sean's going to be a dad. His wife, Emma, is pregnant, and she is going to give birth in March. Now, we have to remember at Pines and Quill, they have guests, 4 guests a month, January through October. Illusionist, which I'm about to write the end on, ends in October. They have family and friends come in November and December over the holidays. I am not going to have a book come out in a November, December book, but Rafferty and Ivy will get married at Pines and Quill in the Tai Chi Pavilion there. But we're going to open the next book after Innocuous will open in February, because when readers have to wait a year for each book, if I did it 1 month and then the next month and then the next month, Emma would be pregnant seemingly for years to the readers. So when I open the next book, Innocuous, she will be 4 weeks away from delivering. So that's what's coming down the pike there. And you can imagine some other books. I've got Indigenous. We have got a lot of tribes up in the Pacific Northwest. And I have Iditarod, which takes place very close in Alaska. So we've got some fun stuff coming down the pike.
Oh, that is awesome. Oh, and I'm so happy for Emma. Just all righty. So finally, where can our friends and fans find you?
You can find me. My spelling of Laurie is Laurie Buchanan.com. Just LaurieBuchanan.com. From there, you can find me. You'll look up, if you look on the screen, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, any of those places. You can subscribe to my newsletter and find out about freebies and what's coming next and whatever you'd like to know. I do recipes, Lynn's recipes, in the newsletter. So that's where people can find me, LaurieBuchanan.com.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for visiting with us today. And thank you all for watching.
Thank you for having me.
So glad you're here.